Hey there. So, when you hear the word entropy, what comes to mind? Probably chaos, right? A messy room, things falling apart. But what if I told you that's only half the picture? Today, we're going to look at the two faces of entropy and uncover this wild connection that links the entire universe to the very code of life itself. And it all starts with this massive puzzle. I mean, think about it. The famous second law of thermodynamics says that everything in the universe is constantly moving toward more disorder, more entropy. And yet, here we are, you and me, these incredibly complex, ridiculously orderly biological machines. So how is that even possible? How can life exist at all? This paradox, that's our starting point. You know, this contradiction, this cosmic rule of decay versus the undeniable fact of biological order, it's been a huge puzzle for scientists for a long, long time. And to crack it, we first need to meet the two main players in this story. So it turns out our story has two different versions of entropy. On one side, you've got the classic, the OG, the physical entropy that Ludwig Boltzmann figured out. And on the other side, you've got a much newer idea that came out of the digital age, information entropy, from the brilliant mind of Claude Shannon. They seem like they're from completely different worlds, but believe me, the way they connect is the key to everything.
So let's put them side by side. Boltzmann's entropy, that's all about thermodynamics. It's physical. It's about the arrangement of actual atoms and molecules. Think about all the zillions of ways you could scramble the molecules in a puff of smoke. That's Boltzmann's world. Shannon's entropy, though, that lives in the world of information. It's a way to measure our uncertainty about a message. Is it predictable, or is it just random gibberish?
Let's dig into Boltzmann's idea. The best way to think about it is your bedroom, right? There's really only one way for it to be perfectly, spotlessly clean, every single thing in its exact right place. But there are practically infinite ways for it to be messy. You know, socks here, books there, clothes on the chair. Boltzmann's entropy is just counting up all those possible messy arrangements. So more ways to be messy means higher entropy. Simple as that. Okay, now let's switch gears to Shannon. Imagine you're waiting for a text. If that text is, "the sun will rise tomorrow," there's no surprise there, right? Zero uncertainty. That's super low Shannon entropy. But what if the text you get is just a random keyboard smash? MFJDKSL. You have absolutely no idea what's coming next. That is maximum uncertainty. That is high Shannon entropy. It's all about measuring how much information you're missing. And right here, this is where we find the giant flashing clue. On the left, you've got the formula for thermodynamic entropy. On the right, you have Shannon's formula for information entropy. Just look at them. They are, for all intents and purposes, the exact same formula. The math is identical. Now, how is that even possible? That can't be a coincidence. No way. So what gives? What's the bridge that connects these two ideas? How can a formula about the chaos of atoms be the same as one for the uncertainty of a message? Well, this is where our story takes a really fascinating turn. Enter a physicist named Edwin Jaynes. Back in 1957, he came along with this totally revolutionary idea. He basically said, hey everyone, what if thermodynamics isn't really about atoms and energy at its core? What if it's actually about what we know, and more importantly, what we don't know about those atoms? He reframed the whole thing as a problem of information. And this is the light bulb moment. Both kinds of entropy are about the exact same thing, missing information. Thermodynamic entropy isn't some magical property of the gas in a box. No, it's a measure of our ignorance about that gas. We might know its temperature and pressure, but we have absolutely no clue where every single molecule is at any given moment. So thermodynamic entropy is just Shannon's information entropy applied to all that missing physical data. Jaynes actually proved this with his maximum entropy principle. His logic was so elegant. He said, 1, start with the few big things you can measure, like the system's total energy. 2, for everything else you don't know, like the position of every single atom, assume the absolute maximum possible uncertainty. You just maximize the Shannon entropy. And then 3, when you do the math, it's incredible. The entire framework of thermodynamics just pops out. It emerges naturally. It's not just a law of physics, it's a law of logic, a totally stunning unification. So, armed with this powerful new way of looking at things, we can finally go back to that riddle we started with. How on earth does life create order in a universe that's supposed to be falling apart? And here's the big paradigm shift. It turns out life isn't in some epic battle against entropy. Not at all. Life is a master of channeling entropy. It cleverly uses that relentless cosmic push toward disorder as the very engine to build its own incredible local order. It's this beautiful three-step process. First, life sucks in highly ordered, low entropy energy. Think of a focus beam of sunlight. Second, it uses that energy to run computations, to build complex DNA, proteins, cells. Basically, it reduces its own internal Shannon uncertainty, creating information and structure. But of course, there's no free lunch. It has to pay an entropy tax to the universe. So third, it dumps a whole lot of disordered, high Boltzmann entropy waste, mostly heat, back out into the environment. So while life creates this tiny, amazing pocket of order, the total entropy of the universe still goes up. It's genius. And get this connection isn't just a metaphor. It is physically real. There's something called Landauer's principle, and it basically puts an energy price tag on information itself. This formula here shows you the absolute minimum energy cost required to erase just one single bit of information, to flip a 1 to a 0. That energy has to be released as heat. This is the physical exchange rate between bits and joules. It proves that information and energy are fundamentally two sides of the same cosmic coin. Okay, let's pull all this together. We started with what looked like two totally different ideas of entropy, one physical and one informational. And we discovered they're actually the same thing. So what does that really tell us about, well, everything? I think the biggest takeaway is this. Our old, simple idea of entropy as just disorder or decay is incomplete. It's so much deeper than that. Entropy is really a fundamental measure of what we can know and the limits of that knowledge. It's the blurry line between the world we can see and measure and the microscopic details that are forever hidden from us. So let's just recap the absolute bottom line. At their common core, both Boltzmann's and Shannon's entropy are just quantifying uncertainty. And that gives us this new lens. Entropy isn't just about things breaking down, it's about the fundamental limits of our knowledge. We saw that life's brilliant strategy is to reduce its own information uncertainty by paying the universe back with physical entropy. Which leads us to the final verdict. Thermodynamic entropy isn't some separate law of nature. It's just one specific physical application of Shannon's much more general, universal idea of information. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending thought to chew on. If information and energy are so deeply connected, if they're really just two sides of the same coin, that it forces you to ask a much bigger question. What is our universe ultimately made of? Is it matter? Is it energy? Or is it information? It suggests a reality where the line between what something is and what we know about it starts to get very, very blurry. And that is a powerful idea.